Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you Tuesday, November the 10th. The year's 2020. Let's talk trading. Big pips, little pips with Walmal Part 2. And if you weren't here for Part 1, just want you to know these videos for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and from Walmal's. Walmal's, how about it today? Were there big pips or little pips?
Well, today's been a really fantastic day for me, and you can say that I made big pips. I mean, I was just kidding around with TheRumpledOne and saying I almost don't want to say how many pips I made for the day because it was a very large number. I made 51.8, and for me that's a very large number. That's more than more than 5 times what I need to make for the day rather. So that sounds really great. But then I started going back and looking at my chart and looking at my trade report. And when I look at my trade report, I realize that I've only got 3 times I won 5 pips. Only 3 times I had 5 pips, I think. And there was 2 of them was 5.0 and one was like 5.2. Yeah, 5.2. And the rest of all my trades, I won 1, 2, 3, or 4 pips. And so, of course, that means you got to win a lot more than you lose. But that's just the reality. They stack up, and we were talking about that yesterday a little bit. How little pips. They keep on stacking up. You just got to go and make sure that what you're doing is you're taking your trades off the table when it makes sense to take them off the table. Now, of course, there's been a couple of trades here where I was up 5 pips and I made 5 pips, and I was like, oh man, if I would have stuck that trade, I would have made 17 or 18 pips. In fact, there was one trade today, I think, TRO, you were in it as well as I was, where if we would have stuck the whole trade, I could have made 30 pips or 40 pips on it. But the reality is, we don't know that that's going to happen. So I always look at it as I want to go and put cash in the bank. That's what's important to me. So I'll just take my little pips and keep on stacking them up.
Yeah. Now you have to also tell the traders out there when you said you were going to quit the first time. Quit trading for the day.
Yeah, I think I said I was done at 17 pips, and but it's sort of like what happened was I was at 17 pips. I saw a potential deal on the table that nothing surefire, but it looked really, really promising. I said, I could probably pick up 2 or 3 pips on that and get an easy 20. So I went and jumped in.
It's all my fault because I get on the phone with him. He says he's going to quit, but he hangs out, and he's an addict. He can't help himself.
Yeah, it's what it is.
The needle was right there, man. The needle was right there.
The thing that's dangerous, though, with that, it's sort of a little bit off topic, but I think it's something important to note, is that at one point in time I had like 48.9 pips for the day. And I took 2 losing trades in a row, one for like 6 pips, and I took another losing trade for 9 pips. So now I went from having just under 50 pips down to 35 pips, and sometimes you just got to go and say, hey, you know what? I've made enough pips someday. I was tired, and I think that's what caused me to lose those pips. And if you remember, when I was on the phone with you, I said, "What am I doing?"
And I also remember you saying you go, "I'm done, and then what did you do? You started trading again.
Well, what I did was I took, and I think that this is the important part of this is, I think what I did was I corrected it. I mean, both those trades were mistakes. The first trade I got in, I was up like 3 pips, 4 pips, and what happened was I let it get away from me, and the next thing you know, I went and took a 6 pip loss on it. So I let it get away from me. I should have just said, hey, little pips are better than no pips. Or loss of pips, and should have just taken my 3 pips off the table. But I was so convinced that the thing was going to continue to run down, and it didn't. And I wound up taking a 6 pip loss on it. That was just foolish. And it was mainly because at that point, I think we had been trading for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I was tired, wasn't paying attention, and got myself into trouble. And then what I do, which is even worse, is I immediately jumped into a trade in the other direction because I was going to revenge and get my pips. So what did it do? Immediately went and ran, 9 pips against me, and I punched out and said, okay, that's my hard stop, I'm out. So at least I was thinking enough to do that. But what I did at that point was I stopped, got myself a cup of coffee, looked at my trades, analyzed what did I do wrong. Did the market just go and do this to me, or what did I do wrong? And I realized that, hey, I made those mistakes. I made those two mistakes, and I corrected myself. And I said, "Okay, I'm good. I've gotten enough rest now. My brain is functioning right now." And then I was able to go and get those 15 pips plus a little bit more. So I think I got like 17 pips since then, and got myself back above. Actually, I wasn't even above 50 at that point in time when this all happened. I'm now above the 50 and almost at 52, just short of 52. But sometimes you have to do that. Put something in there and do that. And then the big thing about that was, you know what? If I would have taken my short little pips, my simple little 3 pips, I would have been up 3 pips on that trade, and I would have never taken that 6 pip loss, and I wouldn't have gotten into that revenge trade. That would have never happened. So when you go and add 6 pips plus 9 pips plus 3 pips, what you're talking about is, just from that little simple thing there, you're talking about a change of 18 pips that I could have had in the bank account instead of taking a loss. And that foolish thing to do.
Yes, yeah. And my foolish thing to do is right here. I went short at the 40, and looking back, the hindsight was there was a one ball here. I should have been looking for a long at the 50. Needless to say, I got almost cremated there. And then Walter reminded me of the joke. If I would have waited an hour to put that trade on right here, I would have made 20 pips instead of losing.
Yeah, and that's part of trading, though. And but the thing is, why didn't you get cremated, Tiro?
Well, I did get.
You took a loss.
Yeah.
Well,
I finally pulled. I pulled the plug. Is what I did.
Exactly. You pulled the plug. You pulled the plug, and you made sure that you were okay. And so, why? The reality is, when I took that 9 pip loss there, if I would have let that thing continue to run on me, I could have taken a 20 or 30, maybe even more than that loss.
Yeah, because I was going to say, and the other one was, I think it was right here. I went long. Where was it? I went long 46, and then it reversed on me. But I think it was somewhere in here. It reversed on me, and then it came back. It was like I should have just hung it up for the day and said, okay, the market, gave me an out. Don't push my luck.
Right, and sometimes I'll go and do that. Sometimes if I'm in a trade, and I'm trading my way out of a mess because I got myself into a mess, and this is me, and this is what my personality does. And everybody's got to figure out what works for them. As soon as I get to break even, or even if I get within 2 or 3 pips of break even, I just go and say, you know what? I'm out of here. I got into this mess, obviously, because either the market just went against me, and that's going to happen, or B, I made a bunch of mistakes, okay? I've traded well enough now to go and get myself to the point where I'm at break even or pretty close to break even. You know what? I'm gone. I'm done. And you know what? If I leave pips on the table that I could have made, that's okay, because I can come back tomorrow and trade again. I can't, and then so often, I've seen it happen so often where you trade yourself out of a mess, you're right at break even, and maybe even 2 or 3 pips down, or maybe a pip or 2 above, and you say, I just spent an hour in this trade. I spent an hour and a half in this trade, and I need to go, my time's worth more than just 2 or 3 pips. And then the next thing you know, the thing goes against you, and the next thing you know, you're in the same mess again. And now you got to go and trade another hour or 2 to get yourself out, if you can even get yourself out.
Yeah, if the market smiles upon you.
Yeah, and and sometimes it doesn't, and you just have to hit your hard stop and take a big loss, and so it's my point in saying all that is that sometimes take your little pips, take them, they're there for if you can get them, take them, and just put them in your pocket, and and you're good to go, and the thing is, it's sort of like there was that old expression, that the Abe Lincoln thing. I forget how the expression goes. About picking up the penny and put it in your pocket. And people used to make fun of you for picking a penny up and put it in your pocket. It's only a penny. Why bother to even stoop down? Well, it's a penny more in my pocket than was there the day before.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at things. Every penny counts. Every penny I put in my pocket is good. And that's what I want to do. That's how I go and look at things, and just stack it on. And from when I first started to trade, I was probably like most traders when they first begin. I didn't have a big old account to go and trade with, and so what I was doing, I was sitting there trading literally a dime a pip. Until I got the account big enough where I could go and move that up to 50 cents, and then finally $1, and then finally, up and up and up, and that's what you got to do. But the thing is, if you don't pick up those pennies and put them into your account, you never get to the $1.
No, you don't.
And that's how we have to look at things. So, I'm looking right now to go build a garage on my house, because when I built my house, didn't build a garage, couldn't afford it at the time. So TRO goes and makes fun of me because I'm saying every time I go and make $1 more than core, in other words, paying off my actual bills, goes towards the garage fund. And so he makes fun of me and says, well, okay, you just went and bought yourself 2 bricks, for the garage. And that's exactly how I look at it.
Or a couple square feet is usually what I say. A couple square feet.
Yeah.
You just
Exactly. But that's how you have to go and look at things. Keep on going and just putting a little bit more into your account. And then what happens is eventually you have enough in your account where you can actually start trading a little bit heavier. And as you trade heavier, you can make a little bit more money. And that's the goal.
Yeah, it sure is. And looking at the chart, I just wanted to point out there was a holo right here. And as you can see, there was a nice holo trade. And you could have picked up 10 or more pips. But if you didn't take them, the market would have taken them all back. You had it gave you another opportunity. But the point is, you don't know if that second opportunity is coming.
Right. You never do. And that's the thing. So take what you can get, Yeah, I understand that. You know what? The allure of big pips is real, and it's big. Hey, I've got it. I know TRO, you've got it. It is real. Especially when you look at an hour, and you look at an hour and let's say it moves, 50 pips on that 1 hour candle. And you say you walk away from that hour and you only have 3 pips in the bank or 4 pips in the bank. You say, I didn't even get 10% of that move. You're right, you didn't. But you know what? Imagine if you were trading 10 lots. Okay? Imagine that. Well, you got $400 in your pocket.
Right.
That's pretty good. That's more. That's more than dinner money.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to point out a trade right here where price came down, and I know there was a 3-ball here, and then it came up to 32.30. If you'd gone long right here at this line, here's opportunity to take 2 pips. But if you hesitated, if you tried to wait for more, you would have been underwater for let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars. That would have been 40 minutes or more being underwater.
And that feels like an eternity. For someone who's been there, that's an eternity. It feels like eternity. And, and unfortunately, when you're in that situation, that's generally when you make a big mistake. Because then you start doing something like, get out of the trade too early or stay in the trade too long, and you start making mistakes there because of the pressure of the trade. I'm underwater, and you start making mistakes, and that's not what you want to do. If you can get, well, at least for me anyway. I mean, everybody's different, but I know for me that's sort of like, hey, if I can go in, snatch and grab. And if it happens to run a little bit more for me, great. There have been days where in fact, I was on a video with everybody probably about a month or 2 ago, where right on the video, I went and took a Walmal trade, and the thing ran up 17 pips. So I'm not getting out of it. If I'm no long and the thing is going up, I'm not getting out of the trade. So I'm not just punching out because I got 2 pips there. But if it stops, I start getting indications that, hey, this thing is looking like it's going to turn on me. Get out. Take the pips off the table. Put the money in your pocket.
And you know what? You got to put the money in your pocket because the fastest 15 minutes in trading are up again. So, fellow traders, big pips or little pips, take what the market gives you before it takes it back. And always remember, never forget, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So get out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.